Hi, it's Paul Gunson here from ARC. As you know, I'm talking to people around the world in relation to preparing for what I believe are difficult times, and the analogy that I use is the flood. Some of you may remember the story from the Bible that Noah built this weird ark in order to save the animals. Well, today I believe it's important that we do all that we can to save humanity, particularly in relation to people's health and well-being. And today, what I'd like to do, first of all, is request that you subscribe to my channel, you like and share it, because I think this message is crucial. And some of the guests that I've brought on and will bring on will give a lot of insight into how we can promote the health and well-being of people in this very, very difficult time. So what I'd like to do right now is introduce a special guest of mine. It's somebody who I've researched a little bit over the coming days and weeks, and I found to be very fascinating. Got a lot of information. He's a life coach. He's been in the industry for many, many years, particularly around mental health and well-being. So first of all, let me invite Pete Andersen from Denmark, all the way from my home place. How are you today, Peter?
I'm so great, and thank you for having me here, Paul. I'm looking very much forward to sharing some knowledge.
Brilliant. As you know, with regards to podcasts, we are very much aware that we are here to have a conversation. There will be the opportunity to share more information with you at the end of this, and it will be added to our broadcast. But the key here is that we understand that there's a need for people to gain knowledge. There's a need for people to be aware of what's going on. Now, my background is, I've been around. My wife recently passed away due to the current condition that we're facing 3 weeks ago. So it's very personal for me, and I've shared that previously. But the key is I'm now looking at my own health and well-being, because I'm obese, I'm overweight, and I'm diabetic, and I've recently had a heart attack. So in relation to what you do, Pete, can I ask you, and take as much time as you need, what is it that you talk to people about, especially with mental health and well-being? Tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us a little bit about kind of the narrative that you have, the research that you've done, and kind of what you would want people to know as to how they can really take care of themselves in these difficult times.
Okay, Paul, thank you for that. We are really working with 3 areas of health here, and my background is that I have been using those things and those ideas for 8 years now, and I'm 59 years old. I'm running like 8 kilometers a day and exercising every day, and I have absolutely no pains, and my health is super excellent. I get a medical checkup once a year, and all numbers are as they should be for a guy in his 20s, actually. So I think that those things and those philosophies are making a great difference in my life. But we're looking at 3 different areas of health. And the first level is that we have to stop the damage on the body from what is called inflammation. And inflammation is caused by external forces like radiation and pollution, but also from the food, from certain fats in the food and from sugar and stuff like that. So we have to stop the damage that we are doing to our body, and we have a solution for that. The second part of the concept is that we need to boost the immune system. And I think we have heard a lot about immune system in this corona crisis that is sweeping the world. And it seems like the corona is hitting very hard on weak people and elderly people, but not on people with a strong immune system. And so we have a solution actually that can boost the immune system significantly. And then the third level of this concept is that we are host. We humans are host for a significant amount of bacteria in our gut. And a lot of research now shows that if the bacteria in our guts are healthy and living a good life, they will support us living a good life and being healthy, because they produce vitamins and fats to us. So this is the 3 areas that I'm working in with the product that we are going to talk about. And it's very much in harmony with what we find in the 5 blue zones that we have found in the world. And blue zones are certain areas where people are living very much longer than average. And they are basically living like what we are going to talk about here. So that's my story and a little about what we're going to talk about.
That's great, Pete. First of all, you look good for 59, can I say? But what happened to your hair? Yeah, well, I'm also 59. What I would like you to do, I mean,
can I answer the thing about the hair first?
Go on.
you know, the thing that is killing the hair on men is testosterone.
Oh, right. So you got too much of it, or not enough.
And that's very good to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What I'm going to ask you then is, obviously, I'd like you to make reference to the company. Obviously, the supplements that we're talking about, and also I'd like a little bit more information on those blue stones, because that kind of piqued my interest. Because I'm into research, I'm into study. I think it's important that people do get educated. There's a meridian of information out there. I believe in the Acacia record that there's nothing new if you're talking biblically. There's nothing new under the sun. All of this knowledge is out there, but people just reluctant to learn. You know, they seem, I mean, okay, I know you're in Denmark. We have a program here called EastEnders and Coronation Street, and people are more concerned about what's going on in a reality, an unreality world, than what they are in reality. So just tell us the company, explain the supplements, because I know these are some of the things that I'm personally interested in, because I want to address my health issues, because I think it's important. I've got 5 grandchildren, and I want to be around for as long as I can. So, it's kind of hit home to me now of the importance of looking after myself. So tell us a little bit more about the company, the products, and also touch on this Blue Stones again.
Yeah. So the company is a 15-year-old stock-listed company from Sweden, and it's called Zinzino. And it's a direct sales company with a huge amount of customers. And if you look at the stock, they are going very good. But the main product is our omega-3, which is a very special omega-3. It's not just fish oil, and it's combined with a blood sample test. And the blood sample test are testing 11 different fats in the blood, and some of them are inflammatory. That's the omega-6s. And some of them are anti-inflammatories, and that's the omega-3s. So people get a very good reading before they start on the products, and usually 97% have way too much of the pro-inflammatory fats in the blood, the omega-6s. But we test people 4 months later when all the blood cells are changed. And at that point in time, we have a 95% of our customers, they are on a very good omega-6 to 3 ratio, which is much better than what the public is recommended now. In Denmark, they recommend 5 to 1, 5 omega-6 to 1 omega-3. But 55% of our customers are down to 3 to 1 after 4 months on this product. But I have to say a little thing about this. This is not just ordinary fish oil. This is combined with polyphenols from olives, and the polyphenols are protecting the fish oils against oxidation. And everywhere in nature, where you find omega-3s in fish and algae and nuts, you also find polyphenols beside them. So the polyphenols are a protection for the fats. Except for ordinary fish oils, they are removed when you buy ordinary capsules. But we have put them together back in the product from olives, and that's why we can get people in balance, which you normally won't get in balance from ordinary fish oils. So this is our main product to get anti-inflammatory.
And again, going back on the research that I've done, and again relating it to my own health, you know, I had a bad knee injury several years ago, and because of my weight, obviously that's been a long time healing. And as you just mentioned, inflammatories are one of the biggest causes of pain, especially with the elderly and especially with those who have had some form of injury. And I think that's key. Just because of lighting, I just want to iterate on this podcast that the company that we're looking at is Zinzino, which is spelled Zinzino, because it wasn't quite clear on the lighting. But we will be applying, obviously, on my actual show in relation to the company. And if you subscribe to The Arc with Paul Gunson, which is my channel, you'll be able to find all the research, because Pete's going to provide us with testimonials and a lot of research to associate the need, why people need to look at their inside of the body. You know, age tends not to treat us very kindly, but what is important is that we do everything that we can to look after the internal side of the body. So let's talk a little bit about mental health, because we haven't really hit on that one. I think the products sort of speak for themselves, and I'm sure the research backs up everything that you're saying. Do you have any kind of testimony along with that, or and then maybe we can touch on mental health as a subject?
Yes, because most of the brain, if you think as the brain as an important part of the mental health, most of the brain are actually composed of fats, and a third of the fat in the brain are the long chain omega-3 called DHA. And since most people doesn't get very much omega-3s in the normal diet anymore, it takes like 1 kilo of fat fish to get enough a week. And I know a lot of people who doesn't get that. I don't, so I have to take supplements. But a large proportion of the fats in the brain are omega-3s. And if you don't have enough omega-3 in the brain, you have an inflamed brain. And when you have inflammation in your brain, you can't think clearly. Your intelligence is probably a little lower, and you can see things like autism and ADHD, and stuff like that. And we have seen very good examples on people who are changing their diet, recovering from some of those things.
Yeah, that's good, because I work in the industry of autism, and I've done for the last 25 years. And I can clearly see where dietary needs massively impact on people with autism. Okay, that's good. That's really good. What I'd like to do also then, obviously, you mentioned before about blue stones. We didn't elaborate on that. Tell us a little bit more about these blue stones.
Yeah, it's actually blue zones. So it's 5 areas in the world that the people are living significantly longer than the average people. There's one in Southern California. There's one in Costa Rica. There's one on Sardinia, Italy, and one on, I think it's Crete in Greece, and then on Okinawa in Japan. And we are talking about 10 to 12 years longer lifespan than normal people. And what we have found in those blue zones by studying them intensively is that they are eating significantly more food than most of us, because they are very physical active. So a typical male, 50 years old in a blue zone, will eat like 5,000 calories a day, because he is so active. And the nutrient density in those the food they eat is very high, because it's very natural. And we actually talk about blue zones in Zinzino because we use it as a proof that we need supplements, because if you compare those 5,000 calories of very high nutrient density that they eat with our 2,500 calories of low density in nutrients, we just doesn't get essential nutrients enough in modern food, because a lot of it is processed food, and it's grown not in the ground anymore, and the density of nutrients, essential nutrients in modern food, is very low compared to what they eat in the blue zones and what we actually used to eat 100 years ago.
Yeah, I think you're right, and certainly one of my up-and-coming guests, he's very much similar to yourself, clinician. He looks at alternative medicines, but he also mentions how important it is that our mineral intake is, in fact, I mean, not that I want to do a push, but, I have here, this is my mineral supplement, and because our food quality has diminished, there is I wouldn't say an over farming, but there's certainly the way things are being produced are not as nutritional as they were. We as a family have gone back to more home-baked stuff, more natural foods. We're trying to eliminate some of the processed food. And what it's designed to do is to try and increase those supplements. So with regards to mine, which is called Sizzling Minerals, and that's a company that we'll talk a little bit more about in the next podcast, it's about why, exactly how you just said, processed foods are not providing us with the minerals and vitamins that we need. And the Western diet, it's interesting that those 5 zones that you mentioned, if you look at the Mediterranean diet, which is a lot of olive oil, a lot of fruits, a lot of naturally grown products, then you can see why their health would be largely increased opposed to a Western diet, because, it's all about McDonald's and KFCs and, stuff that can be purchased or bought within about 2 minutes. I mean, one of the good things that's come out of this recent pandemic is the fact that McDonald's and KFC have shut down. So that can't be a bad thing. And what I also found very interesting was the fact that there is some research out there now, and I've kind of been trying to follow it and get hold of it, in that I do believe the earth itself is healing, because pollution is diminishing. Mm-hmm. There's not as much traffic on the road. There's not, there's certainly no airplanes flying at the moment. The skies, maybe just be me, but the skies look bluer. There's no chemtrails in the sky. It's almost like Mother Earth is getting a big intake of breath, and it's healing. There's that element to it. I believe we are all electrical beings. We are all, right down to our DNA, to our cell structure. It's crucial that the diet we eat is imperative to our health. And I'll give you an example of that. Some of our research, which we'll go into in another cast, is around cancer. Now, one of the main ingredients for cancers to continue to grow is that it needs sugar. And guess what? We have a massive sugar diet. So what's important to us is that we get a clear message out to people to start getting educated, to start focusing on what they can do and can't do. And particularly now, most people are stuck at home. So there is a need now for perhaps people to look at, I've lost my income, or my income's dropped down substantially. How can I produce income? So the likes of Zinzino, Sizzling Minerals are products that not only can you make an income from, but you can also improve your health, and that can only be a good thing. We need to really just get that message out. So do you have any other thoughts around, we haven't really talked about the mental health and well-being, of how you would get people to maybe focus a little bit more on what they need as a person to keep going, especially for parents who are stuck at home with their children, Or equally, children that are stuck at home with their parents. I don't know which one of those scenarios is worse. But what I have learned, and this is what I've taken out of this, is I'm getting closer to my children. I'm getting closer to my grandchildren because I've got two of them staying with me. I'm a foster carer. I've got a foster child with me. And we're having meaningful conversations that we perhaps otherwise wouldn't have had. We're having quality time together. So how would you sort of, from what you know, your knowledge, your information, how would you encourage people to better look after their mental health, Pete?
Well, this is also a stress thing. But before we move into that, I would talk about this immune boosting system that we have. It's using a thing called beta glucans, and it's actually a thing produced by yeast, but it's very special because it's boosting the immune system like many 100%, according in regard to outside things coming outside, and also mutating cells and stuff like that in the cells. And we will provide some links to science on beta glucans, and it's very, very important. But I think that if the diet is good, and I think the best diet is like the keto diet, and then supplements, of course, because we don't move enough to eat enough. But I think that when the families are together, and I have my 18-year-old daughter living here right now, and we need to go out a little, we need to exercise, we need to have fun, we need to relax like the earth is relaxing right now, as you said. It's a kind of fresh breath for the earth, and it should always also be for us. But when you mention the business side of Zinzino, it's direct sales. And what I have found in this crisis is that I have put my ordinary coaching business to a complete hold because the customers are not coming at the moment because they won't get into physical contact. But the Zinzino business is going right through this crisis because we are doing the meetings online, and Zinzino are sending out the products to customers and partners right on time. So when it comes to the business, to working from home like this, it's going right through the crisis, and we actually make a lot of customers in this crisis. So the business is going up, which is quite opposite to most normal businesses.
Yeah, one of my mentors is a guy called Mike Maloney from Hidden Secrets of Money, goldsilver.com, which is another avenue that we will be talking to other people with some of the guests that we have. But one of the things that he says, and he's been quoting this for 15 years, in every crisis there is always an opportunity. And, here we are today facing what is, I'm 59 like you, Pete. I think I'm better looking, but we won't go there. But here's the thing: we are experiencing something today that we've never experienced before. I've never ever been told you can't go out, don't go out. You need to stop this. But so this is all new. It is a global reset. I think we're also facing a financial reset. I do believe there are some conspiracy stuff around this, which again we'll talk about later in another podcast. But here's the thing: we know our health is suffering. You mentioned before about the impact of radiation. There are topics like 5G that are out there at the moment. There's a lot of information related to the radiation that's causing. We all know how important it is that our health is key. But here's the thing: I want people to subscribe to this channel. I want people to like it. I want people to subscribe, share it. Because one of the things that I've noticed over the last couple of days, some of the research that I've been doing, it's been taken down by YouTube. And Facebook is a good medium where we can get information out. So again, I'd like people to come onto my Facebook, which is paulgunson.1, and just see what the conversation is. because we are going to start putting lots of links to research, to information, so that people do get educated. So kind of wrapping up, Peter, if I could, is, again, don't want to go conspiracy theory on this, but on my Facebook, obviously, subscribe to the Ark with Paul Gunson, and then share that, and like and share that if you would, because I know that together with you now, as I build my business in relation to Zinzino, that's the kind of information I'm going to be sharing with people. What would be your kind of, if this was the last thing that you could ever say to anybody, and it was something that would change the way we think? Because I believe we're going through a paradigm shift right now. Now, if you're familiar with paradigm shifts, it's when we completely relook at how we think. And we have an opportunity today to help people have that paradigm shift, to change the way they think, because the world has changed as of 3 weeks ago. It certainly changed for me on the 6th when I lost my wife to this pandemic. Mm-hmm. I have a grandson today who's got cystic fibrosis and is very vulnerable, and I have to protect him. So there are lots of people out there. Just tell us how we can get in touch with you. Tell people how they can find out more information, and just give us your kind of, if it were your last thing that you could say, mm-hmm. What would it be that you would say to people today?
Well, I'm so happy for this for two reasons. I'm going to make it very short. For the first is our health protocol, which is stopping the damage of the body, which is inflammation. And the second part is rebuilding the tissue from nutrients, and then getting our friends in the gut in best shapes ever, so they stop attacking us and start to work together with us. And we believe that using this health protocol will significantly prevent a lot of bad stuff happening in our life. The second thing is that we are getting used to working from home now, but we are still working. Most people are still working from home in the old paradigm. And I think we need to shift that in our head, because when we are working like we are doing in Zinzino, which I call the perfect business, we can work globally from a cafe table on Hawaii or in Bangkok or anywhere in the world, and Zinzino will take care of the shipping. So for me, my income have continued to grow even though we have this crisis. And I'm so grateful for that. And I think the new paradigm is like working globally from home.
And isn't it paradoxically that, having now been told to stay at home, and this is kind of my summation, if you like, is we're now being forced by our governments to stay at home. And what better way to connect with people than to give them hope, mm-hmm. to give them a vision, to give them something that will not only connect them to other people, perhaps in a new way, maintaining the social isolation. But I've been doing I've been doing Zoom calls, Skype calls for many, many years through various business ventures. But now we're able to do that on what I believe is a viral network. And the more people connect to people like ourselves, entrepreneurs, people who have always had a vision, have always had hope, have always looked for better ways, for ways to improve things. Now we're in that position where we can do that, mm-hmm. and do it in a way that does connect us socially, does promote wellness, does promote happiness, which is one of my previous guests, and it's important that that message. So just in wrapping up, please like and subscribe to our channel. Please look up the Ark with Paul Gunson. But just for a final note from yourself, and we'll kind of end on this, Pete, just remind us of the company website, so that we get it out as a message, and then we'll follow that up with the various links, if you would.
Yes, the company is a Swedish company. It's listed on the NASDAQ, and it's Zinzino.com, Zinzino.com, and we will provide you with links from the Facebook page and the website.
Thanks, Peter. Well, this has been an absolute incredible discussion. I hope people who view this will get some value out of it. And again, I would encourage you to like and share, because, you know, I don't want to make light of the moment, but, you know, my whole series is based on, you know, Noah's Ark, the flood. When Noah gave out the information that there was a flood coming, the people ignored it, and then it started raining, and we know the rest of the story. I want to be that kind of person who's prepared. I want to encourage as many people as we can reach to prepare. I think there are three main areas that we can do. One, we can help people get out of debt. We can help people increase their income. And more importantly, we can help people's well-being become the priority, and let everything else go to the wayside. Let's get your health right, let's get your debt managed, and let's get you earning money so that your future is bright, it's healthy, and it's sustainable. You know, the old model's gone. We have had a paradigm shift, and we just need to wake people up. So once again, thanks to my guest, Pete Andersen from Denmark, who's representing Zinzino.com today. Something that I think people will find a great deal of value. And I just want to sign off now by saying, this is Paul Gunson from the Ark. Are you prepared to change?
Yes.
Thank you, peoples. Take care, be safe, stay at home, help those, save lives. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Paul.